Hello everybody, my name's Jeffrey Way, and welcome to a new edition of the net.tutsplus.com screencast of the week. I'm your host, my name's Jeffrey Way, and we're going to be taking a look this week at something called AJAX comments. So, to give you an idea for the inspiration, I was actually at php-tips.net not too long ago, run by Drew Douglas, and I'm pretty sure it's the CMS he uses. They have a really nice contact form. Drew, I hope you don't mind me doing this. But if I leave a comment, hello from the screencast, feel free to delete this if you want, Drew, and we hit speak, watch what happens. Pretty cool, huh? So it makes an AJAX request, it shows you a nice animation, and then it updates the page for you. So that's what we're basically going to be building today. I'll show you my little demo. Let me zoom out. And once again, let's just do Jeffrey Way. We need to put in an email address. This is a very bare bones as it can possibly be. But let's go ahead and hit post comment, and we get a little thing. Uploads the page, and it disappears. Then it says, thank you for your comment. And if we refresh the page, we can show, yes, the form has been updated. So that's what we're going to learn how to build today. So I'm going to close that out, and let's begin. So if I come back, we were using this AJAX comments folder for the demo. I'm just going to delete that entirely, and we're going to work off this new one. Bring that in TextMate, and we are all set to go. So the first thing we need to do is create our main file, index.php. And within here, we need to create our container. And we're going to do an unordered list, and this is going to contain all of our items. So we'll do UL with an ID of comments. Okay, and then within here, we're going to be using PHP. So what I'm going to do here, rather than embedding it in the page, we're just going to reference a file, and we'll call it something like get items from database.php, which we have not created just yet. Okay, and then close out our UL. Okay, so that'll house our comments. Now we need to do our leave a comment section. So we'll do h2 id equals leave a comment. Okay, and now we need to do our actual div. So we'll do div id equals add comment. And within here, we need to add our form. So I'm just going to use a generic form that I have here. Let's go ahead and expand this out. Well, not letting me do it. There we go. Anyhow, as you can see, we just have a form with an action of itself, and we're going to use the post method. And then we have a paragraph tags, and we can add labels if we want. I did this really hastily, but be sure that you add some kind of label to let the user know what they are typing. And its type is text, and we have the name, email, and comment. And then as a value, I have it set to echo out whatever they typed in. That way it doesn't, with every post back, the information isn't deleted and erased. And, it's pretty simple. And then we have a submit button. So if we save this, and let's go into MAMP, open start page, and let's find it. We have AJAX comments tutorial. And we have our UL. Maybe I forgot to close out PHP. And of course, we're using require, so it's going to throw an error. For now, let's do include. Refresh the page, and as you would expect, we just get our simple comment form. And, we really should have labels here that says name, email, and comments. If we have time, we'll go back and add that, but it's going to be a long tutorial, so I want to make sure that we get all of this in. And once again, I apologize. I've got a little bit of a cold, so I apologize if it's a little hard for you to understand. So now we're going to create our config.php file. This just has our basic options, pretty common. And the first one is going to be the server we're connecting to. In my case, it's just going to be localhost. Next one is going to be username. It's not locked down at all, so it's going to be root. Make sure yours is. Password is root. And then finally, the database that we're connecting to, I've actually gone ahead and created a simple database just to save us time. And if we go, it's called AJAX comments, and within this database we have a comments table. And you can see we have an ID, a name, an email, and a comment field. And it's really pretty simple. The ID is set to auto increment, and that's really it. I've gone ahead and added 2 rows. Okay, pretty simple. So the database we're going to connect to is called AJAX Commons. Next, the final one we're going to do here is because we're mixing JavaScript, namely jQuery, with PHP to add the AJAX functionality, we need a way to determine if the user has JavaScript enabled. So what we're going to do here is create a new, and we're going to define a constant called is AJAX. And what's that going to be equal to? It's going to be equal to, the way we can determine that with PHP is determine if server, and it is http _x _requested _ width. And this will either return true or false, so we could do something like if is AJAX JS enabled. Or if it's not enabled, then we know we need to use the PHP route. So it's pretty cool, huh? So that looks good. Make sure everything's closed. Is set? Yeah, that looks good. And that's all we're going to do for our config.php. So we have our form. Now we need to actually get the items from the database. So create a new file called get items from database. And all we're going to do here is, the first thing, of course, is we need to make sure that we're referencing the config.php file, right? So require config.php. And to the next one, let's connect to our database. So create a new variable called MySQLi equals new instance of the MySQLi improved class, and we're going to pass in the server, our username. All this we created in the config file. Password, and then finally the database that we're connecting to. And if that doesn't work, we're going to die, and right there was a problem connecting. And we're going to add a loser to the very end just to make ourselves feel good. And next we're going to do statement, and we're going to be using prepared statements. That way we don't have to worry about escaping everything. We can instead just bind the values to our MySQL query rather than embedding them in, which is very dangerous. Statement equals MySQLi, and we're going to prepare. Sorry, it's late, I can't type. Prepare, and we're going to do select all from, name of the table is comments, and we want to make sure, just to be safe, we're going to order by ID. Okay, to make sure that we show the oldest one first, and as you go down the list, it shows the newer ones, which is common. Okay, that looks good. So now we need to execute statement, execute, and then to return the rows, we're going to do while row equals statement, fetch, and we're going to do the shorthand here, and while. So while row equals statement fetch, all we're going to do here is, we know it's within a unordered list, so let's just go ahead and echo out a list item. And within it, we're going to do an h3 tag first, and we're going to do php echo name. And you know what? I forgot to actually bind the results, didn't I? So let's do a pure statement bind result. And when we add bind result, we need to make sure that we have as many rows as we're pulling from the database. So if we're saying select, it might even be safer to do ID, name, email, comments. Let's go back and verify that. ID, name, email, comments. There we go. And now we can bind those. So bind ID, name, email, comments, like so. And now we can just reference those for each iteration. So we're going to echo name. And after that, what else? Let's do a paragraph tag, and let's echo out the comment. Very simple. Yours will probably be much more elaborate, maybe with the more meta information about the address, their email address, or the date it was posted, and things like that. And that should be good. So let's go back to Firefox, refresh the page, and it does look like we are getting an error. Yeah, it's not bringing it in. So one thing we can do first here, I actually showed you guys this on a quick tip, and we have error log, and if we bring this in here, it's just an easy way to do error logging. So if we just grab all that, close it out, and within get items from PHP, let's just paste that in. See if that brings anything up. And it does. So we are getting unknown database AJAX comment, and it must be AJAX comments. Okay, pretty easy to debug. Where is it? It's going to be in config, AJAX comments. See if that fixes it. One more. Call to a member function execute on a non-object on line 11. So in these cases, this is why you need to be very secure about how you write your code. We could get away with writing MySQL prepare, but what if there is a problem preparing that query? We don't really do anything with that. So instead, why don't we do something like or die, and let's just display the error that occurred. Come back, refresh the page, and there we go. Unknown column, comments in field list, and I bet that we called it comment and not comments. And we did comment. So let's go back and change that, and hopefully it'll work. Nope, table AJAX comments.comments does not exist, and of course we're going to bind it. And let's see what else. There we go. And there we go. So we are getting the correct information. Now we are getting this leave a comment. I must have left off as a closing bracket or something, but we know we are selecting from the database, so that's good. Let's go ahead and fix this, do a little bit more debugging. And what we're going to do here for now is let's just do value equals name, value equals email, and then finally, but remember to do this on your own when you're finished, comment. There we go. Name, email, comment, and we are pulling from the database. So the next step that I want to do is actually pull in a style sheet. So what we'll do here is I've already created one because it's outside the scope of this tutorial, and it's not that interesting to begin with. So within here we're going to do style or link. It's a style sheet, and we called it styles.css, media screen. Come back to Firefox, refresh the page, and now we have our basic functionality. And all it does is it sets some backgrounds and some borders and stuff that's pretty uninteresting. But now, when the user clicks on the submit button, we need to first take care of PHP. So we are going to do a little bit of validation, nothing too extreme, but we're going to do some validation, submit it to the database, and then return. And then after that functions, then we will add on with the JavaScript. So let's go back. And at the very top of index.php, let's add, we need to listen for if is set post submit. If the user clicked on the submit button, then we're going to create a new array called post. I'll explain why shortly. And then we're going to do for each, and this is just a quicker way. We would need to check whether the user types something into the 3 text boxes. So we could do if is set name, and then if is set email, and if is set comments. Or we can do a for each loop and then save ourselves some time. So we're going to say for each item in the post super global as key value. And we're going to say if is set post key. Let's see what else. And let's also just do a little bit of validation. If string length trim and the value, we want to make sure that what they type in is at least 2 characters or something like that for their name. So if it is set and they typed at least 2 characters, then we can know we can apply that value to our post array. So we'll do post key equals value. So you know what, I think this might be confusing if you don't really understand what key is. So why don't we just do something like this, echo post key. Click on the submit button, and echo post key, you can see, is equal to the name field of the input. Name, email, comments, post comment. Alternatively, let's do value. And of course we're not getting anything. So because that's not correct, we just need to echo value. Okay, and now you can see name, email, the value is equal, as you would expect, to what the user typed in. So we're just saying if the post, and then we do the name field, and the string length is greater than 2, then create a new one called post key equals value. Pretty simple. But if there was a problem, maybe if they didn't type anything, or if it isn't is set, we're going to do else error equals true. Next, let's do one more, and we're going to do if, and this will be just a little bit of validation for that email field. And we're going to say if key equals email, and remember, key is equal to the name. So if we come down here, if key equals email, then we're going to check to make sure that they did type in a valid email address. We could use regular expressions. I'm going to try to be very quick about this. So we're going to say if. We use filter vars. It's pretty common. It's not totally, there are some bugs with it, which probably wouldn't make it the best possible choice, but I think it'll work just fine for this. Error equals true. Okay, we're just saying we're going to filter var, we're going to pass in the value or whatever the user typed into that email text box, and then we're going to pass it against the PHP filter validate email. Please note that this only works, I believe, in 5.2 or 5.3 or higher. So if you're running PHP 4, that's not going to work. Anyways, we're going to filter it, and if it does not filter, meaning if it does not match a valid email address, we are going to set error equal to true as well. Okay, and that should be fine. So the final thing we need to do is find out if an error exists, or if it doesn't. If error does not exist, then we know they have done everything correctly, so let's go ahead and post the comment. And we'll do require, leave comment, and this will be a new field. Okay, but if you want just to make sure it works, let's do if there's no error, we're going to echo great. Okay, let's try it. So first we're just going to leave the defaults, hit post comment, and nothing happens. This time let's do a real email address, and it is great. Okay, so we are performing the correct validation, and let's go ahead and require leave comment.php. First thing, leave comment.php. And let's begin. Once again, we're going to require, because we're accessing our database, let's require config.php. And we're going to do, once again, MySQLi. And we could put this all, we could all abstract this away if we wanted. So we're going to say if, whoops, sorry, that's not right. Let's do if statement equals MySQLi prepare, and this time we're going to insert into the database. So we'll do insert into the comments table, and the values, we are once again using prepared statements, so we're going to bind to the values rather than embed them. And we need to bind 4 values for the ID, the name, the email, and the comments. The ID is auto set, so we're just going to do null. And the others are simply going to be question marks, and then we will bind those values to the question marks. Okay, and if that this value, if it functions successfully, it'll return true. So we're just saying if true. Next, let's do statement.bind param, and here is where we're going to attach the values to those question marks. We need to specify what types they are. They're strings. And the values are, and we need to go ahead and create these. So the values are post, actually we already have, right? Post name, post email, post comment. So if you remember, right here, we created this right here. Remember, this would have been post name equals whatever the value is, and then post email equals whatever the value was. So we've bound everything correctly. Next, let's do if not statement execute, then die, and we're going to display an error once again. MySQL error. And then, good measure to always close our statement. So we're going to try to execute it. If for some reason it does not execute successfully, we're going to die. Otherwise, we're going to close our statement, and let's send the user header, location, this index. We're going to send them back to the main page. And finally, we need to do an else statement, else, and we'll just do something really simple here. Echo, there was an error. And that will run if it was not able to prepare the query. So let's see if everything was done correct. Let's reload the page. Add my name. Hit post comment. And let's just do a different name just to make sure. Post comment. And it isn't working, so let's see where it was left off. So the page did reload. Let's take a look. So let's go back, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be somewhere. There it is. Statement. That's not a reference. It should be .bind param. Let's try it again. And you can see because we refreshed the page, we need to go ahead and type it in again. Hit post comment, and it was added to the database. And let's hit refresh just to make sure. Perfect. So now we know everything is working. So if it works without JavaScript enabled, now we can go ahead and make it look better. So let's go back to index.php. Let's go to the very bottom. Give it a title of Ajax comments while we're at it. And just before the closing body tag, we're going to reference jQuery. We're going to be working with the jQuery library. jQuery, and scroll down. Scroll down some more. Okay, there we go. So the first thing we need to do is listen for when the user clicks on the submit button. When they do, we're going to run a function. The first thing we're going to do is do some client-side validation now. Once again, nothing too extreme, but just a little bit. Var name is going to be equal to get the input with an ID of name, right there. And we're going to get the value, and the VAL is just returns whatever the user types. And then we're going to make sure that they don't type anything other than like digits or numbers or anything like that. We don't want semicolons or anything like that. So we're going to say, we're going to do a character class, and we're going to say anything that's not a letter or a number or a space. And we're going to find one or more of those. And we don't care if they're uppercase or lowercase. And G means once you get a match, keep on going and find more matches. Otherwise, without the G, it'll stop once it finds the single match. So we're going to find that. So it's going to find basically semicolons, dashes, things like that. And we're going to replace them with nothing. And that's going to be reassigned to this variable called name. Next, we're going to do another one for email. And pretty much the same thing. Email.val. This one, rather than replace, we want to make sure that it matches a regular expression. So we're going to do match. And you know what? Doing a regular expression for email validation is really important to do when you are first learning regular expressions, but after that it's just easier to save a copy. And I have one in Code Collector Pro. It's kind of a neat program I discovered the other day from mac.appstorm.net. Anyways, it allows you to store code snippets. So I'm going to copy that, hide it, come back to TextMate, and we are going to match this. Okay? And so just accept I'm not going to go over it. I think I've done it in a different video tutorial. It just matches to make sure whatever the user types in is in fact a valid email address. So we're going to listen for that. And if it does match, then we are going to set this email variable right here equal to email.val. Otherwise, by the way, we're using the ternary operator. Otherwise, we're going to set email equal to null. And then finally, I wish this didn't go to a new line. And finally, we're going to create the comment one. And that's just going to be equal to comments.val. We're not going to really do any important validation. Oh, that should be fine. So next thing we're going to do is a little bit of validation. So if we're going to say if name.length is less than 2, or comment.length, and we should say let's make that at least 4 characters. That way they could write good or something like that, some useless comment. Or email equals null, or meaning if email does not validate. Then we're going to create an error. So we're going to say if error.length equals 0. This just means if there is a input with a class, if there's an element with a class of error on the page, we don't want to display it because it's already showing. But if there's not, let's go ahead and do one. And we can do that with jQuery, just checking to see if the length equals 0. And if it does, we know we need to go ahead and add that. And we'll say get. And I'm going to be generic here, but you might want to be a little more specific. Maybe add comment form, something like that. Add comment form. And we will do .append, and we'll do maybe a paragraph with a class of error. And let's see what we'll do here. Please fill out each field correctly. Okay. And then we're going to return false, of course. And I think that should be good for everything. So we're saying if name.length is less than 2 or comments.length is less than 4, this is all referring to the number of characters that they type. If that's true, then we're going to display a paragraph that says please fill out everything correctly, and then we're going to return false. Next thing that we need to do, and if you want to go ahead and check that, let's go back to Firefox, make sure that JavaScript is enabled. It is. And let's just type in, leave something off. Post comment, and now you're seeing it did that validation, and it worked. So good. Now what we want to do is make a post request to that PHP file that will update the database. So we're going to use jQuery.post, which is just a nice wrapper for the jQuery.ajax. And the first thing that we're going to do here is, the first one is, where are we making a post to? So leave comment.php. The next one is, what are we going to send to it? Well, we want to send the name, the email, and the comment fields to it. So we'll do name is equal to name, and email is equal to the modified email, and the comment is equal to comment. And of course, we need to make sure that we wrap this within a semicolon, or a curly brace, I'm sorry. And then the final one is a callback function that will be run if everything was done successfully, and we can pass in a variable of results or R or response, anything we want, and this will store whatever is returned when we make that post. Okay. So post, and I think that's all correct. So the first thing we'll do here is get error and fade it out. Make sure, because if this callback function is running, we know that the database was updated. So let's make sure, the very first thing, get rid of that error message. And next we're going to create a new div, and this is going to be an overlay. And this is going to be a little overlay for the comment bubble. So we'll do div class equals overlay. And close that out. And we will do dot append to, and we're going to append it to the comment. And remember, the comment is, add comment is this little wrapper for this div down here. So we're adding a div to that area, and that's what's going to be the overlay. So we're going to do add comments, and we're going to fade it in, because within our CSS we're going to set the display to none by default. So fade in over the course of maybe 1,000 milliseconds or a second, and when that's finished fading in, let's do another callback function. And we will do get comments, which the comments is the unordered list right up here. And we're going to append a new list item as well as a response, like so. So R will be maybe a heading 3 tag and a paragraph, and we're simply going to create a new list item and paste in whatever is returned, and then close out the list item. And then finally, we're going to do .children, and we're going to get the very last one, which will be equal to this one that we added. We're just doing that for safety. And we're going to set the height, and this was a little bug that I had to do after the fact when I was creating the demo, is that the height kind of got screwed up when we did this. So the fix was just to restate the height. So it's kind of weird, I understand. You might want to practice removing it and see what happens. And the height is going to be equal to get comments li, the last one, dot height. But yeah, just accept that I agree. It's very strange. And we're going to hide it. And then we're going to slide down. We're hiding it initially, that way we can slide it down into display. Otherwise it'll show by default. And we're going to slide it down over the course of about 800 milliseconds. And once again, when that completes, we'll create a new variable called body height. This is another fix we have to do to make sure that the body height doesn't change. So we'll do HTML .hide. And I'll demonstrate this a little bit more shortly. And we're going to do add comment .fade out, and we're going to fade that one out over the course of maybe 1,000 milliseconds. And a function, you can change these values however you want. And we're going to get the HTML, and we're going to restate the height once again. And let's get that H2 with an ID of leave a comment, and we're going to change the text of that to something like congratulations or thank you for leaving a comment, something like that. So we're going to fade that out really quickly. And we will do get this .text. It's going to be thank you for your comment. And this should be decent. Let me see if there's any way we can make better. It looks convoluted, but we're actually doing quite a bit of work here. Let's refresh the page, come down here, hit post comment, and nothing occurs because we don't have a valid email address. Post comment, and it is working, but the AJAX request isn't being fired correctly. So let's come back and see where the problem is. And of course, we need to make sure that we return false when this submit button is clicked. Otherwise, it's going to perform its default action. So we can do that way down here. Try that again. Post comment, and that's still occurring. Okay, well, looking over this, the first thing that I see is I left off. We have email.vos, let's fix that. And then a little trick where if for some reason there is an error, it's probably because there's maybe a problem with the validation. So why don't we do a console log, and we'll do name, email, and comment. And that should display what those contain. Refresh the page, and we get Jeff_Way at yahoo.com, but nothing is displayed for the comment, which means we did it incorrectly. And if we come back up, we can see I have comments when it should have been comment. I've done that twice now. So let's try that again. Refresh the page, hit it, and now we are making a post request, but it's saying syntax error, and it looks like I'm using the PHP version. So let's come on down, and that should be a pound. Wrong language. So let's try it again, hit post, and now the overlay has been added, it's been changed, and we have column name cannot be null. So we have one more error. Let's take a look at our post. And let's see what we sent over. We sent over these three things, and the response is column name cannot be null. So let's check that out. And this is where we go into the next section. Is we need a different way to proceed depending on whether the user has JavaScript enabled or not. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take advantage of that isAjax constant that we created. So let's go back to leave a comment, and we're going to say if isAjax, then we're going to go ahead and set these variables, post name, because remember, this is going to reference those values. So if we're using JavaScript, they don't know what those are. So we're just going to reassign them. Post email equals post email. And remember, when we sent these over the post with JavaScript, they will be cleaned up. Post comment, post comment. So now those have been bound with JavaScript, and the final thing we need to do is with PHP, we could do these with two separate pages. We could do leave comment, and we could do leave comment Ajax, but we're just going to go ahead and put these in the same page. Once again, let's do one more of if isAjax, and if it is JavaScript, we're just going to echo anything out because we're not going to use the header. And we'll do echo, we'll do an h3 tag plus, or this is PHP. Keep forgetting what language I'm in. We'll do post name, and we will continue with close out our h3 tag. Okay, and let's see what else. We're going to echo a paragraph tag, post, comment, and that should be fine. We don't even need to worry about the email. Okay, so if it is JavaScript, we're going to echo this out. If it's not, we're just going to redirect. So let's see how that goes. Refresh the page, and let's go ahead and type this in. And we have a post and we have an error. So we sent it over, and nothing was responded to. Let's see what the problem is. And it looks like we just forgot a semicolon right there. Let's save that, go back, try it one more time. We'll do Ajax post comment. There we go, Ajax post, thank you for your comment. And that's the response. So let's try it one more time. What I'm going to do here, just so we can see it a little bit easier, is let's check all, and we're going to delete all. Okay, and let's do it one more time. Check all and delete all. Jeffrey Way Yahoo. Great post. Or let's do second. Post comment. So that's all working just fine. The final thing that we need to do is add a little bit of a loading icon. So what we can do here is if you go to Google and you search for Ajax loader, there's a really cool site called AJAXload.info, and they just have a huge amount of icons that we can use. So if we were to search through, give it a second to load, let's find one like that. And I think that's probably going to be okay. Let's generate it. Let's save it. I'm going to save image as to my desktop, and we're going to call it loader.gif. Hide it, websites, Ajax comments tutorial, and let's drag that in. So now we need to go into our style sheet and reference that. We're doing a little bit of CSS here that I haven't showed you. Most of this you don't really need to worry about. It's just margins and stuff, but the things you do need to worry about are the overlay. The overlay is that div that we add, and we set the width to 100%, the height to 100%, and then we set the background to black, and then loader.gif. And then we position it pretty much in the middle. And by setting a position to absolute, we know that it won't take up any actual space, but it will cover up anything above it. And then we set the opacity down a little bit and the display to none. That way, in our style sheet, we can, let's see where it is, create an overlay, append it to the comment, and then fade it in over a second. And when it's done fading in, we are going to go to the comments field. We're going to add the new comment. Then we are going to make sure that we set the height of the comment to make sure there aren't any weird discrepancies. Then we are going to hide and slide it down. So we append it, we hide it, and then we slide the comments down. And then when that's done, we can go ahead and get rid of the add comment area. So we get add comment, and we fade it out. And we reset the height. Once again, that's just a weird issue that I found I had to do for a few browsers. And then we change the text of the leave a comment H2 tag to thank you for your comment and fade it in. So let's try it one more time, close this out, and see if that works. Third, post comment, there's our loader. It slides down, it displays, thank you for your comment, refresh the page, and now we are getting that. Okay. So let's try it once again. Let's disable JavaScript. Let's assume the user doesn't have JavaScript enabled. Node.js, click post comment, and we get it. And let's enable it one more time and check the validation. So let's just try to submit nothing. Post comment, please fill out each form. So let's do Jeff. Great, but no email. Still working. So let's do email Jeff Way at nothing. Still isn't working, so let's do yahoo.com. Post comment, shows the overlay, adds the comment, fades out, shows our new text, refresh the page, and it has been added to the database. And just to make sure that it has, we can go and see. Great. Okay, so that's pretty much everything I wanted to teach you today. I hope you enjoyed it. A lot of JavaScript jQuery animation sets why we have a lot of callback functions, so it looks a little convoluted, but it makes for kind of a nice little feature. So let me know if you have any questions, and this has been the Net.Touch Plus Screencast of the Week. For more tips and tutorials, make sure you follow us on the website and at twitter.com/nettouch. Thanks, guys. Bye.